Fucking for God's sake, will you get me back to London? The fuck is this?
Get me airlifted out of here. I'm going to have words with my agent is fired.
It is with great pleasure that we welcome to the Port Report Sebastian Horsley. Hello, sir.
Hello, darling.
How are you, darling?
Well, how are you is a greeting, not a question, is it? You don't really want to know about my piles or my bankruptcy or the fact that I don't want to be here in the first place.
I couldn't care.
We ask people how they are on the off chance that they're going to reply terminally ill. I'm sorry
I'm
to
dying.
disappoint you.
Are you happy now?
No, I'm fucking not. I'm sitting in a fucking tent of green in the middle of nowhere.
About as far
Nature
away
is a
from
very
London.
good way to go, and nature's a good place to come and worship the city, isn't it? I mean, I love nature, my nature. God created nature and Satan created the city, and in case you hadn't noticed, I'm on the other side.
He's the guy, isn't he?
God's a sod. I prefer Lucifer.
You like the red chap, the little red chap with the horned head.
I like all that stuff. You'll get no love from the above. Actually, I'm proof that God is a man, so I suppose I should be nice to him. I mean, when you think about it, really, I mean, God must be beautiful, really. He made me in his image, you know. So there you are.
Very
we
kind
like
of him.
Really, don't
Very
we?
kind of him.
I'm a God living happily in the body of a man, living unhappily in a fucking tent in the middle of... I don't even know where we are. Where are we? What's the...
Middle of nowhere.
Well, what's the district called?
Hertfordshire.
What street is Hertfordshire on?
Middle of nowhere boulevard.
Well, that's it.
A rural lane of broken promises.
A road. That's a nice sentence.
Shitty two-man tents.
No. I'm not really. I mean, I'm not really a kind of festival nature. I mean, the cows aren't much of an audience, are they?
I'm not. They don't ask for much, though. The cows.
They don't ask for much.
They won't give you a bad review.
I like bad reviews.
You have to admit, though, as festivals go, it's fairly well appointed.
Is it?
There's very little in the way of riff-raff. There's not too much mud. Really?
Yeah, I'm loser friendly. I'd have to be. Actually, I did one a few weeks ago. I did one at the Camp Festival.
Right. Yeah.
And that was a total disaster. My parting words from the stage were, "I don't know what you're not laughing at. You wouldn't get a laugh if you pulled a kipper out of your cunt. Fuck off." And
that didn't go down well.
I walked off the stage. One of my mottos is...
Where was that, in the kids' tent?
I've written a children's book, it has to be said, but
Have you really?
Not on purpose.
So, Sebastian Horsley, he of the moral turpitude.
Oh gosh, you've done your research.
Well, it's not research. I'm interested.
Are you really? Well,
I keenly follow your movements, but moral turpitude, that's something to be levelled at a man.
It's quite an accolade, isn't
Yeah.
it? Moral turpitude. Well, I went to America to promote my book.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't let me in. I'm suffering from moral turpitude. The good news is that the public pay no interest in a work of art until they're told that the work of art in question is immoral.
Yeah.
So the book took off in America.
Right, okay.
The bad news is that, well, once the allure of being a rock and roll outlaw recedes, you're just left as some knobhead who can't go anywhere, you know. I wanted to go to America, you know.
But whatever you say about America, it's just not London. No matter how hard they try.
They just don't get it, do they? They don't get it at all. I was in a party in America not so long before they banned me.
Bastards.
And I said we had a mutual friend who had committed suicide. A singer called Billy Mackenzie. You're too young to remember who Billy Mackenzie are you? He was in the Associates.
Okay.
Anyway, this chap said, "Are you going to go to Billy's funeral?" And I said, "Yes, I'm going to go to his funeral if I want him to come to mine." And the chap said, "But he's dead." That's America for you. They don't get it. They don't get it at all.
But they're eager people.
Yes.
America, so big, so rich, so friendly.
That's nice.
Yeah.
They have nice, warm, peachy hearts, and they, for example, in the service industries in America, they're proud to serve.
Yeah.
Whereas it's the English that treat service as civility. You know,
Yeah.
if you go into a shop in England, there's some stupid old bag behind the counter, and she sits there filing her nails, and she goes, "If you can't see it, we haven't got it." You know. The English, of all the races in the world, they love saying no more than anybody else.
Very negative people.
Really, really negative.
Yeah.
They have withered hearts, and they just love saying no.
If I don't like it, understand it, want it, or know it, I'll just stamp on it. or pretend I never even saw it in the first place.
No.
No. I won't let you be
Land
happy.
of
Why
the
should
omnipotent no. The omnipotent no man. Yeah, I know. But I mean, the thing is, we can criticise it until the cow comes home. But out of England, what's great about England is out of all the tension and the repression and the guilt erupts this wonderful caprice. You'd have never got the Sex Pistols or Oscar Wilde or Francis Bacon or me, and not in order of importance, I hasten to add. They could never have come out of America because we're very guilt-ridden here. You know, we have all this real conflict within ourselves, and the great thing about conflict is that without conflict, there's no energy, and without energy, there's
friction,
no life.
Isn't it?
That's
it's
right.
The emotional friction that comes with the
that.
wheels of life grinding on your back.
Exactly. Can I have another cigarette, darling? That's very sweet. You're sorry, I'm being an absolute scoundrel and tadger. I hate people that don't. Anyway, thank you very much. How are we getting on?
Yeah, all right. You happy?
That's good. Yeah, well,
Cigarettes in the
never
gym.
really know. Essential ingredient of happiness is to be without something.
Do you think?
Yeah, and I'm without London at the moment, so yeah. No, you have to have a kind of
a sweet
aching.
ache.
You have to have a kind of aching creative heart, don't you? And I think that's where it comes from. We get so obsessed with happiness, which always eludes us, when there's plenty of other invigorating experiences available, like hatred and bitterness and revenge and
bigotry.
Yeah,
That's a smasher.
It's a
I
smasher,
love a
isn't
bit
it?
of bigotry.
I'm one of the most tolerant bigots on earth.
I'm one of the most right-wing liberals I've ever met.
There's nothing wrong with a bit of good old bigotry. I know. Let's be bigotry. Let's fucking be bigots. Exactly.
Fuck 'em. Misanthropy.
I hate misanthropists. I hate them. Yeah, no, it's not true. I mean, I hate, what do I hate? Well, what have you got? What's on your list?
What, on my little book of hate?
Men, women, animals, and miscellaneous, just in case we left anything out.
The first page on my little book of hate is the undecided.
What does that mean?
Well, just anyone who's undecided about something.
Oh, really? Does that annoy you?
It riles me. It gets my back up.
Do you think that we should be absolutely definite then about
Even
everything?
if you don't believe it
that's
yourself,
right,
just at least pretend to have some kind of an opinion.
The key is.
Even if you've just copied it from someone else.
I just said that. The key is to make people believe every word you say, though not a single word is sincere at all. I think there's a wonderful line. I think it was Jerry Lewis, but I can't remember. It was one of these old tosspots who said, If you're neither hot nor cold, I will spew you out of my mouth. It's good, isn't it?
That is great.
Yeah.
Dandy of the Underworld.
Yeah.
An autobiographical yarn.
Yes.
What's next for the next book? Are you just going to make up another autobiography?
I am just going to rest on my laurels until they become wreaths.
Very good.
I may be a dormant volcano, but a volcano is still a volcano. That book took me 45 years to write.
Right.
And it's a fucking brilliant book, you know. And I say it myself. I'm not proud of many things, you know. Most of the stuff I've done, I have to say, is not very good. It's all right. I got crucified.
That was good. The crucifixion.
Yeah, that was good.
That was a high point, wasn't it?
You can't really top that. I mean, you know, Jesus was crucified to save humanity. I was crucified to save my career. In my opinion, neither of us were very successful. But I fucking did do it. Plagiarism is when someone takes your original idea and does it 2,000 years before you were born.
Yeah.
It's what's weird about the whole Jesus thing is that how he won out over everybody else. It's weird, isn't it? It's like, I'm a big Mark Bolan fan.
Right.
And I don't understand why. I mean, why did he win out over everybody else? It was just one guy with a little funny story, wasn't it? And yet we're all why did he win over
Mark Bolan specifically?
Yeah.
Like you say, he just beat him to it.
Did he just beat him to it?
Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I'm not sure how Ryder White Swan would have gone down in Nazareth.
I'm so glad that you know Ryder White Swan. It's in my not very humble opinion, it's better to go to hell well tailored than to heaven in rags. You know, the thing is, the problem with Christ, I mean, what I like about him is that he was able to persuade people simply with the force of his personality. There's no books, there's no movies, there's nothing like that.
He's like Paul McKenna in a lot of respects.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And yet the downside is, well, those dreadful clothes. I mean, I don't want to be seen.
He would have slopped about in a hoodie, I should
He
have
would
thought.
have. Would you think now if he
Sportswear.
came back? I know. So fuck him.
If you look at the ascent of the T-shirt and the decline of Western civilization, you'll see that the two are pretty much.
That's a very
It's
good.
like a double helix, if
That's
you will.
so true.
Yeah.
But the thing is that is true. But we have to welcome it, because the thing is that we can't all be stars. Someone has to sit on the pavement and clap as I go by. And the thing is, if everybody looked like this, then I would have to wear a baseball cap backwards in sympathy with my brain to be noticed. So there you are. Whichever way you play it, you're fucked, aren't you?
Well, let's just hope that never ever happens. Although the top hat makers of North London, I'm sure, will revel it.
What top hat?
Is that not a top hat?
I can't see it. I'll take your word for it.
If you want to get ahead, get a hat, and that, my friend, is a whole lot
That
of
is
hats.
it. I think that was why I didn't get into America. I don't know whether it was the clothes or the pros or whether
What-
I just had the wrong attitude.
What were you sporting when you alighted from
Like
the plane?
this. I had this, but I take my nail polish off. That was my one.
That was your dispensation
yeah,
for the Americans.
That was my one concession to their Ivy League sensibilities. But it was the book. They took me in, they interrogated me for 8 hours. They took Rachel in there and they said the same thing. They said to her, "Do you know who you're travelling with?" And she said, "My boyfriend." And then they said to her, "What's he got in his hat?" And she said, "His head." But I mean, it was, I don't know, but there you are.
Not the
That's
sharpest tool in the box, and
it's
yet
not
they
as-
get a
no,
job in
no.
customs.
They
so-
get a job in customs. The transcript of the interview is very funny. One of the questions they asked me is, "Have you ever taken drugs?" To which I said, "Yes, I am a crack and heroin addict and proud of it. If I could have my time again, I would take the same drugs, only sooner and more of them." And then they said, "Have you ever solicited prostitution?" And I said, "Mary Magdalene set a saintly precedent." And their response was, "Who is Mary Magdalene?" That is straight up, absolutely straight up. I am many things, but I am not a liar. That's exactly what they said. I thought that was so satisfying that we live in a world where, I mean, I had my hair cut the other day, and I was having my hair cut, and the woman who cut my hair, she hadn't heard of Mark Bolan. She could only name 2 of the Beatles, John and Paul.
Right.
She knew who I was, probably because I turned out with my press cuttings. And but I loved that. The only earthly certainty is oblivion. Fame is just being remembered for 50 years longer
Yeah.
than anybody else.
It's transitory
It's
at best.
totally transitory, isn't
Yeah.
it? I know. And you read these interviews with people. I remember reading one recently with the chap that with the broadcast, Jonathan Ross and Russell Brand, and they were talking about it. And they were talking about fame, and they were saying, "Oh, now you've got all this fame. There's no way of going back," and all this. I thought, fuck off. You're not famous, you're current. You know, you're just going to be forgotten. I mean, if you were to name all the people since the world opened for business, name 5 people who are true immortals. We've done Jesus. Go on, see if you can name 5.
Like I said, I fucking hate people. I'm not going to list them.
All right, okay.
They're foul.
Well, that conversation seems to have hit
No,
the buffers.
there's got to be more.
Shakespeare. Do you think in a little tent somewhere in Afghanistan they're going to have heard of
They're going to
Shakespeare?
find him. He's been there all along with 2,000 monkeys and a load of typewriters.
It's a complete illusion. It's just chasing after wind. It doesn't mean to say that while we're here, we shouldn't strive to make something and to overact appallingly, because the fact is that life is just smoke through a keyhole. You know, you're just on your honeymoon and they order your tombstone.
That's it.
We're
What
all
was
in a,
that?
we're all-
That was my life,
That
mate.
was my life.
That was
you
very
know.
quick.
We're
Do I get another one?
We're in a fucking sewage pipe, and you got to crawl along it till you die.
Yeah.
But you ain't going to be remembered. You know, I'm sorry if you didn't know that. But
No,
sorry to have to break
no.
that to you, but-
A friend of my father's said to me when I was very young, and it stayed with me. Essentially, just try and die with debts, because if you die
Oh,
owing
that's right.
people, at
Yeah,
least
yeah, that's
technically
right.
you've won.
Yeah, that's right.
Technically, you're a winner.
Right. So if you die £10,000 in debt,
That's it. That's a result.
so you can
That's
say,
1-0 to me.
I leave my debts to my family, and all the rest I leave to the poor.
Fuck 'em.
That's right. Yeah, the rich can pray, the poor can beg.
Right, well on that note,
We're done, aren't we?
we're going to get well done. It's been an absolute
Been
pleasure.
a real pleasure.
Absolute pleasure. Thank
Thanks
you for
very
joining
much.
us.
Not at all.
Porter Report, Mr. Horsley, au revoir.
Thank you very much. Good night.